Hello everyone, welcome back. How are you all doing tonight? Welcome if you are new here. This is Let's Talk Health. This is where we talk about different health topics and share our mutual experiences and just ask questions in the live chat. So if you are new here, you can use the chat to ask me any questions that you want about health topics. Today, as you can see, we're going to be talking about cheese and dairy-free alternatives. So, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Let me give it a minute or two for people to join and just let me know how things have been going. We are going to be talking about are dairy-free alternatives bad for you? Are they bad for you? Are they good for you? I don't like really labeling foods as bad as good, but let's just see what kind of impact these foods have on your health. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the dairy, so like the cheese and the ice cream and things like that. So we're going to talk about that. So before we get started, give this video a thumbs up if you like this, where I compare things like different types of foods. So this and that, kind of like as you saw on my thumbnail. If you like those kind of videos, give this one a thumbs up, so I will do more like this. Okay, so let's start off with, how about everybody let me know in the chat, do you consume dairy on a regular basis, or do you consume dairy-free alternatives? Which one do you consume more of? I guess what's your go-to? So let me know. I would love to know what you consume, and that way you can also give me your opinion on what you think about this. So let's see what some people are saying in the chat. So Haagen-Dazs. Yes, so I put the Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and we'll be talking about that one specifically. Hi, good job. Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay, you must invite your fellow Redditors on here and share recipes. Sure. So yes, I recently started talking with people on Reddit about health and giving my health tips there as well, and sharing my recipes, and it's been fun. So we'll get some of those people to join us once I get a little bit more experience there. Okay, so I like ice cream and cheese. Nice. I like your use of the emojis. That's great. So ice cream and cheese. Nice. So my dairy-free alternatives are meat. Okay. Yeah. By dairy-free alternatives, I mean, like, do you do like the dairy-free cheeses or the dairy-free ice creams? I consume dairy more, but I have almond milk every meal. Okay, so you have dairy, but maybe you're not having milk. So I know a lot of people do that. They don't drink milk. They'll do a nut milk or something like that, but then they'll have cheese and things like that. I changed from cow milk to almond or soy milk. Nice. We'll talk about that. More dairy than non-dairy. Just cream for coffee and an occasional glass of milk. Nice. I'm sure that you'll have that occasional glass of milk with some cookies, because I know that's a popular thing that people do. Milk and cookies. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about dairy and not dairy things. And I'll kind of talk a bit about some people, they choose non-dairy for a certain reason, and some people choose dairy just because they like it better, they prefer it better. So we'll talk a bit about that. We'll compare some ingredients, so I'll show you some different ingredients and some different products, so that way we can compare it, and then we'll come to the conclusion about which one you should have or which one you shouldn't have. There's a lot of mixed research on this, and I think it's a controversial topic, but I really do think that sticking towards things that are more of whole foods and minimal ingredients, so less ingredients, is better. And it tends to be actually the dairy products that are those foods. So the dairy products will have just a few ingredients, majority of them, not all of them. So we'll kind of talk about that. But for example, cheese, a lot of the time is just like, it's just made of milk, some bacterial cultures and stuff in it. Whereas I'll show you some of the dairy-free cheeses, and these things really just have a lot of fillers and a lot of ingredients and oils and thickeners and gums, and these things aren't that great for our health. So it's going to be interesting to see. What do you guys think? Like, do you think that in the future, we're going to see more studies coming out about the effects of these? Because these products have been very more recent, right? They're more recently more popular. These like dairy-free cheeses, like now you can go and get like dairy-free cheese on your pizza at the pizza store. There's so many different type of nut milks and things like that. So what's everybody's thoughts on this and like the long-term effects of these different types of things? Let's see what y'all have to say about that. When did almond milk become so popular? Who started it? How long has almond milk been around? Yeah, so I kind of was just talking about that. Like, it's more fairly recent that this has become popular. I heard cheddar has color added it to make it yellow. Yes. So that's another thing. So why don't we start talking about, let's just start with cheese because we're talking about that. And then we'll go into the almond milk and some of that kind of stuff. So let's start with cheese. So like I was saying, if you get a dairy cheese, so regular cheese, it's going to basically just have milk in it. However, there are ones that are healthier than other ones. So for example, cheddar, as somebody mentioned, that has color added to it. If you get a hard cheese, that's actually more beneficial. Like it has better nutrients in it than something like a softer cheese. So if you are going to choose a cheese, choosing a hard one is a better option. So that's like typical like a Grana Padano or Parmesan cheese, like the hard bricks of cheese. Those ones are better. An old sharp cheddar, those are good options to have. And they have good healthy fats in it. It's nothing to really have to shy away from. You want to make sure you're balancing how much you're having. So I'm not saying go and eat cheese every day, but it is a good source of protein and fats. However, on the other hand, if you're somebody that can't tolerate dairy, if you really, really can't have dairy, if you eat dairy and it makes you, it gives you headaches, or if it gives you acne, or if it really bothers you, then you may have to avoid it. But choosing those dairy-free alternatives are not necessarily the best option. It might be better to just completely avoid that kind of product or have a little bit of the dairy-free options. Okay, so let's see what some people are saying. In the future, people will have a pill to get full since there will be no food. Yeah, maybe. Like some weird things might happen. We never know. You might take a pill and that's going to get you full. That'd be quite interesting. But I think people would still like food because people enjoy eating. I think so. I think people enjoy eating. They enjoy the socializing around it. They enjoy the company of eating. Stick to natural dairy. If you can't have it, just don't eat it. Okay, so some people have that thought. And I agree to a certain extent. So let's look at a cheese that's not dairy. Let's look at one. I'm going to show you. We'll show you a vegan cheese. It's a popular one, Daiya. It's one of the ones that I showed on the thumbnail here. And this one we'll go over all right, so I think you can all see it. So this is Daiya cheese, and then these are the ingredients on it. So these are just like cheese shreds. They look like these like mozzarella cheese shreds. And then this is what the ingredients are. So they have water. So water is the first ingredient, so that means it's the highest ingredient. Then there's tapioca starch, expeller pressed canola oil and or safflower oil, coconut oil, vegan natural flavors, which we're not really sure what that means, pea protein, salt, inactive yeast, xanthan gum, lactic acid, titanium dioxide color, and yeast extract. So as you can see, it's many ingredients in it. So if you compare this to a cheese, that's mostly just going to be milk in it. You can see that this one has many more ingredients in it, and some of these ingredients can be inflammatory. So we have things like canola oil and safflower oil. I've talked about this in the oils video. We talked about, like, those are not good. Those are inflammatory oils. It has yeast in it. If maybe yeast is irritating to some people, it has the like xanthan gum. It has some coloring in it as well. So not really the greatest thing that you're eating. It's not a whole food. So what are your thoughts on that? What does everybody think about that? You're paying all this money for water. Well, yeah. So that's like kind of what I wanted to point out. So yes, it's okay. It's good for people that are vegan or that are plant-based that want an option. But even if you still are vegan or plant-based, you really shouldn't be having this like every day or multiple times a day. All of these things that you're adding in, and if you are somebody that maybe you're not even vegan, but you can't have dairy, and you're having like the dairy-free cheese, and then in the morning with your coffee or with your breakfast, you're having some almond milk or some oat milk, and we'll talk about those as well. All these things that you're adding is a lot of these ingredients, and we don't know what all these ingredients cause in the long run. We do know some of them are not the greatest to have. A lot of the gums and the fillers can irritate your gut. So that's just one thing I want to point out, and just something to think about and be mindful when you're buying these kind of products. Okay, so vegan cheese can be worse for you than real cheese. It probably isn't marketed as such. Too many ingredients. So you brought up a good point of it's not being marketed as that, and that is true. And that's actually something I wanted to talk about, so I'm glad you reminded me. I feel like a lot of people think, oh, it's dairy-free, oh, it's like plant-based, or it's dairy-free. It must be healthy. And I've seen people say these things. And maybe I even thought of it myself. And we think, oh, it's dairy-free, it's got to be healthy. But then we don't realize all these things that are in it. And maybe we end up eating more. And maybe you go and take an extra serving of ice cream because you're like, okay, because it's dairy-free. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that it doesn't necessarily mean it is healthier because it has that label on it. And you have to remember, when you're taking out the dairy is what gives things like that fat and that creaminess and that richness. And when you take it out, you're going to have to replace it. And you're replacing it with a lot of things like these oils and these gums and these fillers that are not natural ingredients. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of talk about, and just have that in the back of your mind to remember that when you're trying to buy certain things. Cheese is a very common ingredient in many foods, especially pizza. It can turn friends into enemies when ordering. Yeah, like it is very common. It is true. Cheese is common in a lot of things. So that's the other thing, is like, I'm not saying go and have a bunch of cheese, because it also, too much cheese can irritate your gut and just cause, things like we were talking about, like acne and maybe headaches and things like that. It can cause those kind of things. But I'm just saying, don't go and replace all of the dairy. If you're able to tolerate it, then don't go and replace all of it with these dairy-free things and having a bunch of these, because they're not necessarily the greatest. Buzzword manipulation. Yep. So I talked about this in like the video that I was doing about reading nutrition labels and how to read them and what to look out for. So this is kind of like what we're going into with this. Okay, let's go into ice cream. So, of course, ice cream is something you really shouldn't be having that often, because regardless if it's dairy-free or if it's dairy-based, it's going to have sugar in it because it's ice cream and they need to make it taste sweet. They need to make it taste good. But let's compare the two. Let me see if I can pull up two different things so we can compare them. Let's compare the Haagen-Dazs and a dairy-free one. Let me see if I can pull up both of them for you. So while I'm doing this, why doesn't everybody tell me what is your favorite cheese? Like what would be your favorite cheese, your favorite type of cheese? If you have a favorite, like one that you like, I don't know, on your pizza, or that you just like eating in general with cheese and crackers. Cheese and crackers, there's just always something good about cheese and crackers. It's just got that like crunchiness from the cheese, and then the creaminess of the crackers. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one and then the other, because I think it'll just be, it might be too small to show you one. But yeah, let me know, what's your favorite cheese? What is my favorite cheese? I haven't had brie cheese in a long time, but I used to always love brie cheese. Like brie cheese, whether it be baked, if you have like brie cheese like baked with like tomatoes, or if you have it baked with the walnuts and cranberries, like the sweeter of both of those, I really like that. Or even just on its own, like it's just super creamy. I really like brie cheese. Okay, let's show this ice cream and then we'll go into the cheeses. Okay, so this is, I'm going to actually show you two dairy-free ice cream. No, sorry, dairy-based ice creams, just to see the difference. So this is Haagen-Dazs vanilla. And these are the ingredients right here. I don't know if you can see that. But it's got cream, concentrated skim milk, sugar, liquid egg yolk, and vanilla. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 ingredients. So not too bad. And as you can see, like the main thing is it's basically like sugar, milk, and cream in here. And vanilla extract is vanilla extract and some eggs. So not too many ingredients. Of course, like these things are like pretty fattening if you have cream and sugar and stuff like that. So yes, if you had this all the time, it would not be the greatest for your overall health. But if you are going to indulge and you want to enjoy ice cream, I would say getting something like this is better than, for example, the Almond Dream chocolate ice cream. So let's look at this one now. So this is Almond Dream chocolate. And these are its ingredients. So water is the first ingredient, then it's sugar. So this one, it's sugar and water make up the majority of it, whereas the other one was cream and milk. So you're getting fat in the other one, and this one is being replaced with the sugar. Almonds, safflower oil, sunflower oil, canola oil. So again, those aren't the greatest oils. Tapioca, maltodextrin, and I believe maltodextrin is made from corn. Cocoa, so that's like the chocolatey part. Potato starch, guar gum, carabine gum, carrageenan, soy, natural flavors, sea salt. So really like a lot of things that are not the greatest, and a lot of gums and fillers and thickeners, oils. It's not really like whole food based. Of course, the other one is still, it's ice cream, so it's still processed. It's not like you're eating an apple, but it's, the ingredients are more whole food based, more like less of these additives and fillers compared to that. So that's those two. Let's look in something like, and I specifically picked the Haagen-Dazs one because it is a better one. So you are, again, think about it. When you go to the grocery store, if you look at Haagen-Dazs, it's going to be like $5 for a little thing. It's going to be more expensive, but that's going to be better than something like, for example, this is just Nestle scoops. So like their traditional vanilla ice cream. And now if we look at their ingredients, these aren't the greatest. So I just want to show you like the difference. Modified milk ingredients, okay, cream, sugar, but then not only do they use sugar, but they use glucose, which is sugar, but it's just a different form. Monodiglycerides, the guar gum. So this one has things like guar gum, carabine gum, cellulose gum, carrageenan, and like artificial flavor and color. So if you look at this one, it is similar to that Almond Dream, where it really isn't the greatest because it has fillers and stuff in that. So that's also something to keep in mind. Again, this goes back to when I was talking about looking at the ingredient list, and that way you can see what you really are eating. But generally, if you're going to get a good quality ice cream, if you're going to get a good quality cheese, it's going to have better ingredients than having something like a dairy-free alternative, or these other ice creams that aren't the greatest. Okay, so let's see what everybody thinks about that. Let me know, what are your thoughts on that? Okay, so ice cream is good when you're sad. Yeah. It's comforting. It's one of those comfort foods. It's just nice to, and I think they also show that a lot in movies, right? When somebody's sad or they had a breakup and then they go and buy their Ben and Jerry's pint of ice cream. Ice cream is a good snack, but I'm curious on which is better in terms of weight loss and then in terms of additives. Okay, so interesting about weight loss. Well, I would say that the dairy ice cream has more calories. So if you're looking at like calories that you're consuming, the dairy-based ice cream would have more calories, because think about it, cream and fat, like fat has more calories than something like a sugar, or just something that was just like mostly waters and fillers. So if in terms of weight loss, like if you're going to have the bowl of ice cream, then yeah, maybe having the dairy-free one. However, in the end, like those additives and fillers aren't the greatest for you. So again, how much ice cream do you have? You really shouldn't be having that much to begin with. And then just looking at that. Fior di latte as of late. Wow, fancy. Yeah, that's a good one. That one's common on pizzas and Italian restaurants. Old cheddar and feta, nice. Cheddar and feta, nice. I have too much cheddar, nice. Bocconcini is good, but for some reason it doesn't taste good after a couple of days. Oh, probably because it's a fresher type of cheese. So things like a bocconcini and those softer type of cheeses, they don't stay as fresh. So like they're more softer and better to consume when they're fresh. So something like cheddar, the harder cheeses, they usually last longer. Is Haagen-Dazs hiding ingredients? No, they're not. I also picked vanilla, which is like, again, then you want to think about what kind of ice cream are you having? Are you having vanilla? Are you going to go and have like cookies and cream, which probably has other things added to it? Like when you're adding like chocolate chips and things like that, those have more ingredients. So choosing something like less ingredients is probably better, but they're not hiding ingredients. I hope not. That would be bad. Most people wouldn't bother looking at the back of the label and ingredients. They think because it's almond, it's automatically better. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about, and that's something to really think about. Like even with the almond milks, doesn't mean that it's better because it's almond based or oat based. You got to look at the ingredients. If you want to have a snack, have the healthy one. The imitation products seem worse. Okay, so yeah, you're more for having the ones that are just regular. And again, like I was saying, if you really can't have dairy, then try to choose one of those other ones that are have better ingredients. So we can talk about milks for a second. I can show you some almond milks and some nut milk. So let's look at that. And then while I'm doing that, what are your thoughts about like almond milk and those kind of things, or which one do you like best? What about when you go to go get a coffee or a tea, or like if you were to go and order something, what's your like go-to order? What is everybody's go-to like Starbucks order? Tell me what your order is. If you don't go to Starbucks, like if you were to go to the coffee shop, what would be your go-to order? Are you somebody that likes one of those drinks with like so many modifications, or you just like classic coffee and cream or something? So let me show you the almond milk by, let's show Silk. And then I'm going to show you one by Almond Milk. What's that brand called? Elmhurst. Elmhurst. Okay. I'll show you the difference with these. What's happening? And you'll see how these can also be different. I don't go to Starbucks. Somebody's angry. Well, if you were to order something, would you order it with, if you were to order something, would you order it with like cream and a milk, or would you order it with like almond milk and things like that? Funny enough, I actually saw, like, I was in this conversation on Reddit where people were talking about like, oh, I go to Starbucks and I get their like almond milk latte or almond milk whatever, and then I notice that my stomach feels very irritated. So this is common with people with IBS to be irritated by these nut milks and things like that because of the fillers and things that are added in them. And like, we really don't know what Starbucks puts in them. They might put sugar and stuff in them too. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Then again, like dairy milk, I wouldn't recommend drinking that either because it's not the greatest. If you could probably have cream, probably be a bit better option, like a little bit of it. But let's see what the difference. Let me show you the difference of these two things, okay? And you'll notice how different these two nut milks are. And maybe this will help you, give you some information. So let's look at Silk. All right, so this is Silk almond milk, which is the common one. So this one, Silk, just the original. So first ingredient is filtered water and almonds. So it's water and almonds. Then this one has cane sugar. You can get the unsweetened one that doesn't. Cane sugar has some vitamins and minerals added to it. So calcium, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D, sea salt, the gel and gum, sunflower, lecithin, which is like another filler, locust bean gum, ascorbic acid to protect freshness and natural flavor. So it's not too bad. Like, it's mostly water and almonds and some fillers in it. So again, like, these fillers can sometimes be irritating, and we don't know what the long-term effects of having all these fillers are. But then let's look at something like Elmhurst is literally just two ingredients. If you look at the ingredients, it's filtered water and almonds. So something like this is a better option than getting the other dairy-free alternative. So this one is just two ingredients, filtered water, almonds. It's not going to froth as good because it doesn't have those thickeners in them. So those thickeners help making things like frothy and foamy when you want to have it with coffee. This one might separate, it might not be as creamy tasting, but it's a better option, and it's less ingredients, and it's not going to be as harmful or cause inflammation or irritate your gut like the other ones can. So has anybody tried this one, and what are your thoughts on this? And as you can see on the side, it does even advertise and like no added gums or emulsifiers, no carrageenan, gluten-free. So yeah, I just wanted to point that one out too. So what are your thoughts? What does everybody think now that I presented you with all this information? What are your thoughts on... Oh, what happened? Why did it do that? Sorry, my camera shut off for a second. So... So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Let's see what you're saying. I used to like soy, not anymore. Coffee with milk or black. Okay. If I go to Starbucks, I get a seasonal drink, but I don't like them too sweet. Yeah, I agree. Like the seasonal drinks at Starbucks are pretty sweet. I always ask for like half sweet or only one pump of the syrup that they use. I like cream in my coffee or a latte. Okay. Unsweetened is better anyways if you're putting flavored protein in it. Very true. Nice. Russia. I really hope not. It's telling me the screen's current bitrate is lower than recommended, so I don't know. We'll wrap it up in a minute. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of tonight's live stream. Did you learn something new? What are your thoughts on having dairy or non-dairy? I would, just to like recap, I would say looking at the ingredients and noticing that having dairy is not that bad for you as we might think. If it's a good quality dairy, it's a good quality cheese. If you're having a little bit here and there, if you're having a little bit of cream in your coffee, if you're going to choose ice cream, go for the one that's more whole ingredients based on the ones that have all those extra additives in it. That's what I would say. And if you're going to choose a nut milk, try to choose one that's just like the water and almonds or water and cashews or water and oats, as opposed to the ones that have the fillers in it. Stick to the natural alternatives or avoid them. Okay. Cool. Well, I hope you guys learned something new and had some fun tonight. If there's any other things that you want me to compare, feel free to let me know. If you liked this type of video where I compare things, give it a thumbs up so that way I know you liked it and I can bring more. We can do other ones like this where I show you different things. If you like that, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe so that way you can join us when I go live. Turn on the notifications so you get notified. And yeah, I'll keep posting content. I post a new video every week. This week was a fun one. I posted a taste test. Actually, and a lot of those were dairy-free, but some of them were actually pretty good ingredients. Okay, I learned that whole ingredients are important. Yes, of course, whole foods are much more important. I don't have any health issues with dairy, so I'm sticking to cheese and ice cream. Yeah, okay, go tell everybody that Dr. Amanda told you to eat cheese and ice cream. Great, the naturopathic community is gonna come at me. I learned that it depends on ingredients rather than just dairy versus non-dairy. It seems like it's more of an issue of whole foods versus additives. Yeah, I agree. I will check the labels. Can you compare meat next week? Chicken versus beef. Sure, I can compare that. I can compare like even the, maybe next week I'll do chicken and beef, and a couple weeks after, next week after, I can do like the meat alternatives too. So we can talk about that, or I can even talk about that next week for sure. Good, I'm glad it was informative. Okay, everybody, enjoy your Friday night. Go do something fun, and I will see you all next week. If there's no other questions, I'm going to sign off, and maybe we can all go and enjoy some ice cream this weekend. Okay, guys, see you next time. Thanks for joining me. See you next week. Bye.